Hello and welcome back to Tech. In this video I want to do a teardown of this graphics card. I want to see how it works and I want to see if there's any parts worth salvaging. Let's get started. First, what I'm going to do is do what I always do: see a screw, take a screw, see a screw, take a screw, and remove all of the screws that I could find. So far, removing just these 2 screws and undoing these 4 nut screws. As you can see right here, there's an attachment. It's not exactly a screw, it's actually a pop rivet. So what I need to do is just simply break the metal off. After all, it's a teardown, so I don't really care about the condition. So just simply break off the metal. And there, it comes off just like this. And now, there are more screws to remove. And again, see a screw, take a screw, see a screw, take a screw, and remove all the screws that I can find. And there, the screws are now removed, and now let's go ahead and detach the circuit. Comes off just like this. Oh, how very interesting. Detach the wire, and you can see that it's a massive heatsink on top of all these little components. How very interesting. You can see there's a bunch of memory chips, and then there's all these thermal pads that are on top of the memory chips, so apparently the memory chips is what gets very hot. And of course the main GPU chip is what gets very hot. That's why it has some thermal paste and a copper heatsink. That's very interesting. So all these are memory chips right here. And this right here is the GPU. Let's have a closer look. Yeah, so as you can see, these are a bunch of transistors. To me, these look like inductors, but since it says R22, this makes me assume that these might be resistors. And now a closer look at these memory chips. These right here hold the memory temporarily, allowing the processor to process. And then of course a bunch of surface mount components, a bunch of diodes and microcontrollers, and of course a crystal oscillator and some capacitors as well. Let's see if I can be able to remove this GPU. Oh, I forgot this screw. Okay, so this right here is the heatsink plate that holds everything in place. And it doesn't look like I can get that GPU off that easily. So I'm going to go use brute force and then peel it off. Or actually break it off. It would be better if I used hot air to be able to melt the solder and it'll come off better. But it seems like what I did here works just fine. Now removing the GPU, I have a good reason for it, because look at all the gold that is on the GPU. This GPU contains a lot of gold, since gold is very conductive. So definitely salvage this for gold. And then of course these pins right here on the side contain gold too, so I'm going to go ahead and break these off and extract the gold in the future. And there, the rest of the circuit is basically useless, unless I want to take some of the surface mount components and possibly use some of these components for something, so I'm probably going to keep what's on the circuit. And now since all the screws are already removed, I'm going to go ahead and pop off this heatsink and remove the outer housing. There we go, remove it like this. And as you can see, it's just a massive heatsink with some cooling grills and a nice fan. The fan is probably what I would salvage it for. So now I'm going to go a little deeper and try to remove the fan. Just simply undo some screws that is holding the fan in place. And there, the fan is now removed. This is a very nice fan. I just need to clean it up and get all the dust off. I can probably use this fan for something. These little thermal pads can easily be removed. I could possibly use these, not sure. And here are all of the items that I've salvaged. As you can see, there's some useful components that are worth salvaging, such as these screws with standoff screws that can be useful. This cooling fan is also very useful. And of course, the GPU and these pins that all contain gold, definitely worth salvaging for gold. And then of course, the entire circuit right here, some components such as these surface mount components like these transistors can be potentially useful, and a few other components that are on the board are potentially useful. And there you have it. Now you know what's inside of a graphics card, how it works, and what kind of components are worth salvaging. Thank you for watching Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future Tech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.